The cold expanse of space stretched endlessly before the Galactic Council's grand space station, an enormous structure that loomed like a metal behemoth in the blackness. It was a place where the most powerful beings in the galaxy met, their decisions shaping the fate of countless civilizations across the stars. Today, however, the atmosphere was tense, filled with mocking laughter and disdain. The council members, towering figures clad in glowing armor, sat in their thrones, their eyes burning with arrogance as they stared down at the human representative, a young captain from Earth. The human stood tall but alone, his expression unwavering despite the ridicule aimed at him. His name was Captain Aidan Bonner, and this was the moment he would either win or lose everything. "You actually believe that this pitiful fleet of yours stands a chance against us?" One of the council leaders sneered, his voice booming across the chamber. His alien face twisted in amusement as he surveyed the human warship displayed on the hologram before him. The hologram flickered for a moment, showing a small, outdated Earth warship, barely matching the power of even the weakest council ships. The council laughed loudly, echoing through the chamber like a chorus of mockery. "This is your mighty fleet," another council member jeered, his voice dripping with condescension. "You're nothing more than a speck, a joke in the grand scheme of the galaxy." Captain Bonner clenched his fists, holding his composure. He had expected this. The Galactic Council had always seen humanity as nothing more than a primitive species, incapable of standing against their advanced technologies. But he knew the truth. Earth's military strength was far greater than what these aliens could possibly imagine. "I urge you to reconsider," Captain Bonner said, his voice calm but firm. "You have no idea what humanity is capable of. You've only seen the surface. Our resolve is unbreakable." The council members exchanged amused glances, their laughter dying down as they turned their attention back to the human. One of the higher-ranking members, a tall, angular alien with gleaming red eyes, leaned forward in his chair. His voice was laced with mockery as he addressed Captain Bonner. "Your resolve," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "You come here with your pathetic warship and think you can challenge us. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Prove it. Show us something more, or we'll destroy you like the insignificant creatures you are." The words hung in the air, each one a slap in the face to humanity. But Captain Bonner refused to be intimidated. He had known this was coming, and he had a plan. With a deep breath, he nodded to his crew, signaling them to activate the next phase. The hologram in front of the council flickered again. This time, it shifted, expanding to show something different, something that had remained hidden from the council's eyes for centuries. The image shifted to a hidden underground base on Earth. The base was massive, located deep beneath the ocean, where no one had suspected it existed. Ancient structures, worn by time but still gleaming with a quiet power, filled the space. The council's laughter faltered, and for the first time, their expressions darkened with uncertainty. The screen zoomed in, revealing enormous warships, unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. They were ancient, built long before humanity had discovered the stars, but still intact, their energy weapons glowing with a threatening intensity. These ships had been dormant for millennia, hidden away from prying eyes, forgotten by all but a few. But now, they were awakening. Captain Bonner stood tall, his voice steady, though his heart raced. "This is what you've underestimated," he said, his eyes flashing with a quiet defiance. "You've only seen a glimpse of what we have." For a moment, there was silence. The hologram flickered again, showing more of Earth's hidden fleet, an entire armada of these ancient warships, powered by technologies far beyond what the Council possessed. The power these ships held was beyond comprehension. The Galactic Council's leaders were speechless, their mouths agape as they watched this unprecedented display of force. The image of the fleet filled the entire chamber, casting long shadows on the faces of the council members. What is this?" One of the council leaders stammered, his voice faltering for the first time. Captain Bonner didn't answer. Instead, He gave a small, knowing smile, the kind of smile that told the council they had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. He stepped back, allowing the hologram to linger for a few more moments before it slowly faded away. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the realization that Earth had more to offer than anyone could have imagined. The council members were no longer laughing. Their smug expressions had turned to looks of disbelief and fear. For the first time in centuries, they were faced with an unknown force, something they couldn't predict, something they couldn't control. They had called Earth's fleet pathetic, but now they were witnessing the truth. The Council had underestimated humanity's hidden potential, and it could very well be their undoing. Captain Bonner stood firm, never breaking his gaze from the Council. "You wanted proof," he said, his voice carrying the weight of the moment. "You've got it. And believe me, this is just the beginning." The chamber erupted into chaos as the Galactic Council's leaders scrambled to understand what they had just witnessed. The arrogance that had once ruled their every decision was now replaced with a cold, creeping fear. They had called humanity weak, pathetic, but now they had seen the truth. Earth was far from helpless. As the council leaders argued among themselves, Captain Bonner stood quietly, watching them with a sense of quiet satisfaction. They had been given a glimpse of Earth's hidden strength, and it was far beyond anything they could have imagined. The future of the galaxy had just shifted, and humanity was no longer the underdog. The Galactic Council had made the fatal mistake of underestimating Earth, and now it was time for them to learn the consequences of their arrogance. The hologram faded to black, leaving the Council in stunned silence, their empire suddenly on the verge of collapse. The camera pulled back, showing the dark expanse of space once more. The stakes were higher than ever, and the future of the galaxy was uncertain. But one thing was clear: humanity had just revealed its hidden power, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming next. As the screen cut to black, the tension in the air was palpable, leaving viewers hanging on the edge of their seats, wondering what would happen next. Deep beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean lies a secret that could change the fate of the galaxy. Hidden in a massive underground military base, untouched by time, humanity's forgotten legacy waits. Once believed to be lost forever, a fleet of ancient warships, designed by long-forgotten human ancestors, now stirs back to life. These ships, buried for centuries, are about to emerge from the depths with advanced technology that even the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy have never seen. The base, built into the very bedrock of the Earth, is a marvel of engineering. It stretches for miles, its walls lined with the remnants of humanity's greatest achievements. The corridors are silent, but behind every door, behind every thick steel wall, lie secrets of unimaginable power. At the center of it all stands Captain Aidan Bonner, the man who now leads this covert operation, a man with the fate of Earth and perhaps the entire galaxy in his hands. Captain Bonner walks down the sterile, echoing hallways of the underground base, his footsteps the only sound breaking the silence. He is tall and strong, with short-cropped dark hair and sharp, calculating eyes that reflect the weight of the responsibility he bears. His uniform, simple but sleek, carries the insignia of Earth's last hope, a symbol of a humanity on the brink of extinction, about to fight back against an overwhelming foe. The walls around him hum with activity as technicians and engineers work tirelessly to bring the ancient fleet back online. The warships, once thought to be the stuff of legend, now come to life under their skilled hands. They are massive, stretching hundreds of meters long, their dark metal exteriors gleaming as energy courses through their veins, lighting up forgotten systems that have slumbered for millennia. Captain Bonner's eyes flicker with a mixture of pride and determination. This is humanity's last stand, and he knows that if they fail, the Galactic Council will obliterate them without hesitation. The Council has laughed at Earth's military capabilities, dismissed them as insignificant. But they have no idea what they are about to face. The ancient fleet is not only the key to Earth's survival, It is the key to defeating the very forces that threaten to crush humanity's future. A small team of scientists and engineers follows Captain Bonner as they approach the heart of the base, the command center. Here, the operations of the ancient fleet are being coordinated, the AI systems of the ships coming online one by one. These AI systems, developed by the ancients, are far more advanced than any current technology in the galaxy. They are designed to think, to adapt, and to fight with precision. They can make split-second decisions, coordinate vast fleets, and execute devastating attacks with deadly accuracy. The tension in the command center is palpable. Everyone knows that the test of the fleet's power will come soon. Captain Bonner, however, is calm. He's been preparing for this moment for years, ever since he first discovered the existence of the fleet. He's read every report, studied every piece of data, and now he is ready to see the fleet in action. All systems are online, Captain, reports Lieutenant Sarah Ruiz, the base's lead engineer. She's a sharp, quick-thinking woman, and she's one of the few people on Earth who truly understands the scale of what they are about to unleash. Activate the first ship, Captain Bonner commands, his voice steady and resolute. The air crackles with tension as the engineers initiate the activation sequence. On the large screen in front of them, the radar shows nothing at first, just the calm, empty waters of the Pacific. But beneath the waves, something stirs. A massive shape begins to rise from the ocean, cloaked in advanced technology that makes it invisible to all but the most sophisticated sensors. As the ship breaks through the surface of the water, the cloak flickers for a moment, revealing its true form, a gargantuan warship, its hull scarred by time but still emanating an aura of power. The ship is a marvel of ancient human engineering, with sleek, angular lines and weapon systems that no one in the galaxy has ever seen before. It's a moment of awe. This ship, once thought lost to time, is now back in action. It is the first of many, and it's the weapon that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. But the real test is yet to come. Prepare for weapons test, Captain Bonner says, his voice never wavering. The crew, now fully alert, begins to monitor the systems as the warship prepares for its first strike. On the screen, the ship locks onto its target, an old mock target buoy drifting in the open sea. It's small, but it represents the perfect test subject. A few moments pass as the ship's advanced AI scans the target, calculating the optimal attack path. Then, without warning, the ship fires. The strike is instantaneous. A bright flash of light erupts from the ship's main cannon, the energy beam cutting through the sky like a bolt of lightning. The mock target disintegrates in an instant, obliterated by the power of the ancient weapon. The explosion shakes the command center, the sheer force of the blast reverberating through the walls of the underground base. For a brief moment, everyone is silent, absorbing the magnitude of what they've just witnessed. Test complete, Lieutenant Ruiz says, her voice tinged with awe. We have a direct hit. No errors in targeting. This is beyond anything we've ever imagined. Captain Bonner nods, his face hardening as he watches the screen. This is just the beginning. We have the power to fight back. Now, it's time to show the Galactic Council what humanity can do. The ship's AI system hums in the background, its energy readings fluctuating as it runs simulations for the next phase of the operation. Captain Bonner stands still, his gaze never leaving the screen. He knows the stakes are higher than ever. The Galactic Council has underestimated Earth's power, and now it's time to prove them wrong. But as the ship retreats beneath the waves, disappearing once more into the depths of the ocean, a sense of dread begins to settle over Captain Bonner. The Council may have seen only a glimpse of humanity's strength, but they will not be easy to defeat. The fleet they've awakened is ancient, yes, but also unpredictable. There are still unknowns, and they may have only just begun to scratch the surface of what's to come. Activate the rest of the fleet, Captain Bonner orders, his voice calm but filled with determination. He turns to face the officers around him. We've shown them what we're capable of. But now we need to be ready for whatever comes next. The tension in the room rises as the command center hums to life, bringing the remaining warships online one by one. The ancient fleet is now awake, ready to take on the Galactic Council and whatever challenges lie ahead. Captain Bonner steps away from the console and walks toward the exit, his mind racing with the implications of what they've just unleashed. The fate of Earth is in their hands now. The war is coming, and humanity will be ready. The camera pulls back, showing the vast expanse of the ocean once again. The dark water is calm, hiding the immense power that lies beneath. But soon, the Galactic Council will know that humanity has awakened a force beyond their wildest fears. As the screen fades to black, the question remains, will humanity rise to victory, or will the power of the Galactic Council prove too much to overcome? The battle has just begun, and everything is at stake. The tension in the air was thick as Earth's leaders gathered in the war room, eyes glued to the massive screen showing the approaching fleet from the Galactic Council. The voices in the room were low, filled with anxiety. This wasn't just a standoff. This was the moment when everything would be decided. Earth had been pushed to the edge of annihilation, and now, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The Galactic Council, a vast empire made up of the most advanced alien species in the galaxy, had sent their fleet to Earth's orbit. Their message was simple and terrifying. Surrender immediately or face complete destruction. The enormous ships, dark and menacing, surrounded Earth's atmosphere. It was clear that they had come to crush any hope humanity had left. In the heart of the command center, Captain Aidan Bonner stood with his arms crossed, staring at the screen. His jaw was clenched, eyes hard. But inside, the weight of the decision he had to make pressed down on him. This was not just a military decision. It was a matter of survival for the human race. The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity's resolve before, but now, they were about to feel the full force of what they had stirred. A deep voice boomed from the screen, one of the Council's leaders. His face appeared, sharp and cold, with alien features that sent a chill through the room. This is your final warning, Earth. Surrender or be destroyed. We will not wait much longer. The transmission cut out, leaving behind only silence. The leaders in the room exchanged worried glances, but Captain Bonner remained still. He had known this moment would come, but now that it was here, the weight of the impending battle felt more real than ever. As the minutes dragged on, the enormous flagship of the Galactic Council, a behemoth of dark, metallic armor and towering weaponry, took position above Earth. From the command center's window, the silhouette of the ship was barely visible in the vast expanse of space. But its power was undeniable. The ship was a symbol of everything humanity was about to face. Then, without warning, the Council's flagship fired a single warning shot. The blast lit up the sky like a flash of lightning, shaking the very core of Earth's atmosphere. It was a devastating display of power, a reminder that the Galactic Council could obliterate the planet with a single command. The shockwave reverberated through the command center, rattling the walls and sending a shiver down the spines of everyone in the room. The Earth leaders watched in horror as the blast dissipated, leaving a stark reminder of the destruction that could come if they failed. This wasn't a mere threat, it was a statement. The Council had come to end humanity's existence, and they weren't playing games. It was a grim moment, and for many, fear began to seep in. In the lower levels of the underground base, the soldiers of Earth's ancient fleet prepared for battle. The command center, usually bustling with activity, now buzzed with the sense of imminent conflict. It wasn't just the leaders in the war room who were nervous. The soldiers, too, felt the pressure of facing the might of the Galactic Council. A group of young soldiers stood at their posts, some of them visibly trembling as they suited up for combat. The warships, hidden beneath the ocean's surface, were ready to launch, but many of these soldiers had never been in a real battle. Their fear was palpable, and it was clear that the gravity of the situation was beginning to sink in. The ancient fleet, with its cloaking technology and powerful weapons, was their only hope, but the Council's ships were overwhelming in size and firepower. One soldier, a young man named Davis, stood close to Captain Bonner, his face pale and anxious. "Captain, are we really ready for this? The Galactic Council's fleet. They're huge. We've never faced anything like this before. What if we fail?" Bonner turned to face him, his expression unwavering. "We have more than they think. We may be outnumbered, but we've got the element of surprise on our side. These ships are more advanced than anything they've ever encountered, and we'll make sure they learn that." But even Bonner could feel the uncertainty in the air. Despite his reassurances, the reality was that humanity had never been in a situation like this before. They were about to face a technologically superior force, and the odds were stacked against them. Yet Bonner knew something that none of the Council's leaders understood. Humanity had something that no amount of technology could replicate: the will to survive. It was that very will that had kept Earth alive against all odds, and it was that same resolve that would drive them to fight back. Bonner looked around the room, his eyes meeting those of his officers and soldiers. "We've come a long way to get here, and I won't let it all end because we're afraid to take a stand. We're going to fight, not just for our survival, but for every future generation of humanity, and we're going to show them what Earth can do when it's pushed to the edge." There was a brief silence, the weight of his words sinking in. Then, one by one, the soldiers nodded. It wasn't just the captain's words that inspired them. It was the belief that this was their last chance to prove themselves. Earth had been mocked, threatened, and tested, but now they would fight back. As the fleet prepared to launch, the tension in the command center reached a fever pitch. The massive warships, cloaked beneath the ocean, began their ascent toward the surface. The ancient engines rumbled to life, the hum of their power sending waves of anticipation throughout the base. The cloaking devices flickered as they activated, rendering the ships invisible to the enemy sensors. Captain Bonner stood at the helm of the command center, watching as the ships slowly emerged from the water. The sight of these ancient warships, sleek, deadly, and glowing with untold power, was enough to fill the room with a sense of awe. Humanity's greatest weapon was about to be unleashed. But even with this technological advantage, Bonner knew that they had no room for error. The fate of Earth rested on these ships, and if they failed, there would be no second chance. The Galactic Council was waiting for them in orbit, their fleet ready to strike at a moment's notice. Bonner felt the weight of the challenge before him. Earth had never faced a threat like this. But the resolve of humanity was not something that could be measured in firepower alone. It was in the hearts of the people who fought to protect their world. As the ships of the ancient fleet took their positions in space, cloaked and ready for action, Bonner's voice echoed through the comm system. "This is it. Time to show them what Earth can do. Let's make sure they remember this day." The final preparations were made, and the ancient fleet moved into formation. The battle was about to begin, and humanity's survival depended on the outcome. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and the tension was unbearable. But as the first shots rang out in the vast expanse of space, there was no turning back. Earth was ready to fight, and they would do everything in their power to defend their home. The Council had made their ultimatum. Now, humanity would make their stand, and the universe would never be the same again. As the Galactic Council's fleet descended upon Earth's orbit, the sky above the planets seemed to tremble. The stars around Earth flickered as the vast, menacing ships of the Council appeared from behind a veil of darkness, a silent warning that humanity's time was running out. They were ready to destroy everything in their path, and Earth was no exception. Their ships, enormous and imposing, hovered above the planet like a swarm of locusts, ready to descend and annihilate all that humanity had built. But Earth's response was nothing like the Galactic Council had expected. As the first shockwave of their arrival reverberated through space, the skies above Earth cracked open, revealing the hidden fleet that had been waiting in the shadows for this very moment. Massive warships, once thought to be ancient relics, now rose from beneath the oceans deserts, and underground bases scattered across the planet. These ships, cloaked in the latest alien technology, flickered into view with a brilliant otherworldly glow that stunned the enemy. The power of the ancient fleet, once thought to be lost to history, now surged to life. Each ship, glowing with the energy of forgotten technology, powered up its engines and weapons systems. Earth's soldiers, once fearful and uncertain, stood ready to unleash everything they had. They had no choice but to strike back. This was their moment to fight for survival. The first shots were fired in the blink of an eye. The Galactic Council had come with overwhelming numbers and superior firepower, but humanity's fleet wasn't going to go down without a fight. Earth's ships, cloaked in advanced technology, attacked first, catching the Council off guard. The ships glided through space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing as they launched devastating energy blasts at their enemies. Explosions erupted in space, lighting up the darkness as humanity's fleet ambushed the unsuspecting Council ships. The battle raged on, an intense exchange of fire and fury between the two sides. Earth's ships, though smaller in number, were equipped with technology that the Galactic Council had never encountered before. The advanced cloaking systems allowed Earth's fleet to strike without warning, leaving the enemy scrambling to defend against invisible foes. The Council ships, though equipped with powerful weapons and superior armor, struggled to adapt to the guerrilla tactics employed by Earth's forces. On the battlefield, Earth's ships weaved in and out of the battle, striking quickly and disappearing before the enemy could react. Explosions rippled through space as blasts of energy from humanity's ships collided with the hulls of the Council's vessels. The force of the explosions sent shockwaves through the emptiness of space, lighting up the vast expanse in a dazzling display of power. Yet the Galactic Council was not deterred. They had more ships, more firepower, and more technology. It seemed like an insurmountable challenge, but humanity was determined to prove that they were not to be underestimated. As the battle intensified, the tactics of both sides grew more unpredictable. The Galactic Council's fleet, though technologically superior, began to falter in the face of Earth's unexpected strategies. The humans had spent years preparing for this moment, building a fleet capable of striking with precision and power. And now, they were using every bit of that preparation to turn the tide in their favor. In the heat of the battle, Captain Aidan Bonner watched as his fleet moved into position. The Council ships were beginning to split up, and Earth's fleet was ready to make its next move. Bonner knew that this was the crucial moment. If they didn't strike now, the balance of the battle could tip in the Council's favor. He gave the order, and Earth's fleet charged forward, attacking from multiple angles. The fleet's advanced robots, deployed from the warships, descended onto the battlefield with deadly precision. These highly advanced machines, built for combat, took the fight directly to the Council's forces. They moved with brutal efficiency, targeting weak spots in the enemy's ships and wreaking havoc wherever they went. The robots, though seemingly simple in design, were built for one purpose: to destroy. Their strength and speed proved to be a deadly match for the more advanced alien technology. As the battle raged on, Bonner's voice echoed through the comm system, rallying his troops. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for our children, our future. Let them know that humanity will never bow down. We are Earth, and we will not be defeated." The words of Captain Bonner rang out across the battlefield, and the resolve of humanity hardened. The Galactic Council's ships, though powerful, were beginning to realize that they had underestimated the human spirit. The Council had thought Earth's technology was outdated, that they could crush humanity with ease. But now, in the vastness of space, the true might of Earth's ancient fleet was on display. The battle was far from over, but humanity was fighting with everything they had, and the Council could no longer ignore them. The Galactic Council's flagship, a colossal ship at the forefront of the enemy fleet, loomed large in the distance. It was heavily armored and bristling with weapons, but it was also the most vulnerable target in the enemy's arsenal. Bonner's fleet, using their advanced cloaking technology, moved into position for a final, decisive strike. As Earth's warships charged forward, cloaked in invisibility, the Council's flagship fired a massive energy beam into the void. The blast was powerful enough to destroy any ship it hit, but it missed its mark. Earth's fleet had already moved, using the cloaking technology to avoid the blast. And then, with deadly precision, Earth's ships launched their counterattack. The flagship of the Galactic Council was struck with a barrage of energy blasts, the shields failing under the intensity of the assault. The flagship began to falter, its massive structure slowly being torn apart by the concentrated fire. The Council's fleet was in chaos. Their superior numbers were being whittled down by the relentless attacks of humanity's fleet, and their once unshakable confidence was beginning to crumble. The Galactic Council had expected a quick and easy victory, but what they got instead was a fight they hadn't anticipated, a fight that was turning against them. Earth's ships continued to strike with deadly accuracy, exploiting every weakness in the Council's defense. The robots, now fully deployed, wreaked havoc on the enemy's forces, taking out weapons platforms and causing widespread damage. Each explosion, each strike, each victory was a reminder that humanity was no longer the underdog. They had risen from the shadows, armed with ancient technology and a fierce determination to survive. And now, they were making their stand against the galaxy's most powerful empire. As the Galactic Council's ships began to fall, one by one, the humans could feel the tide of the battle shifting in their favor. The once unbeatable enemy was now on the defensive, struggling to hold their ground. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity was winning. And the Galactic Council had only themselves to blame for underestimating Earth's power. As the battle continued to rage in the vastness of space, humanity's fleet had begun to turn the tide against the overwhelming force of the Galactic Council. Earth's ancient warships, powered by the strength of human ingenuity and the technology they had rediscovered, were proving to be a worthy match for the superior numbers of the enemy. The energy blasts, the cloaking technology, and the devastating attacks from Earth's robots were slowly but surely pushing the Council's forces back. But despite these victories, the battle was far from over, and every victory came with a heavy cost. Captain Aidan Bonner, leading his fleet with unyielding determination, knew this was the moment that would define humanity's survival. They had to win, no matter the cost. But as the battle intensified, the true cost of their fight was about to become heartbreakingly clear. Lieutenant Mia Walker, Bonner's best friend and one of his most trusted soldiers, had always been by his side through thick and thin. Together, they had trained, fought, and bled for their country, and their bond was unbreakable. Mia was not just a colleague, she was family. But in the heat of battle, with the Council's forces closing in on Earth's fleet, Maya was faced with an impossible choice. A massive enemy fleet was closing in on Earth's flagship, and it was clear that if the enemy managed to launch their final assault, the human forces would be utterly destroyed. Mia's ship, the Vanguard, was positioned near the front lines, and she knew that the only way to save the fleet was to make the ultimate sacrifice. With a heart full of determination, she ordered her crew to prepare for a final stand. Mia? No. Bonner's voice crackled through the comm system, panic evident in his voice as he saw what she was about to do. There's another way, we can fight them together. But Mia was resolute. She had always been the brave one, the one who believed in doing whatever it took to protect humanity. Aidan, you've always been the one to lead. It's my turn to make sure you win this, she replied, her voice steady, even though her heart was heavy with the knowledge of what she was about to do. With no more words left to exchange, Maya turned her ship toward the enemy fleet. Her Vanguard surged forward, cutting through the space like a shooting star on a mission to protect everything they had fought for. She powered up her ship's weapons to the maximum, determined to take down as many enemies as possible before her time came. As the Vanguard charged into the heart of the Council's fleet, Maya's crew launched a barrage of energy blasts, ripping through the enemy ships. For a few moments, it seemed as if the human forces were going to break through. But the Council was ready, and as Mia's ship neared the heart of the enemy formation, a barrage of missiles struck the vanguard, shaking the ship to its core. Despite the damage, Mia didn't falter. She pressed forward, determined to give the fleet the time they needed to regroup. Her ship, battered but still moving, continued to fire relentlessly, causing massive explosions across the Council's fleet. Then, with one final defiant scream, she sent her ship crashing into the enemy flagship's defensive line, triggering a massive explosion that obliterated her ship and sent shockwaves through the entire battlefield. The human fleet watched in stunned silence as Mia's sacrifice illuminated the void of space. The explosion from the vanguard was the brightest thing they had ever seen, a symbol of the bravery and sacrifice that defined humanity's resolve. For a moment, all other sounds ceased as everyone took a collective breath, mourning the loss of a hero. Bonner, his heart heavy with grief, struggled to contain his emotions. "She did it for us," he whispered to himself, his voice barely audible. "She gave everything, for all of us." The shockwaves from Mia's final stand reverberated across the fleet, and her sacrifice sparked something deep within every soldier. The entire human fleet, inspired by her bravery, rallied together with a renewed sense of purpose. If Mia could give everything for this fight, then they could too. With newfound determination, the human fleet launched into the next phase of the battle. The orbital bombardment began, as Earth's warships fired upon the Council's outposts and bases. Each strike was a tribute to Mia's sacrifice. Explosions lit up the enemy's fortresses, tearing through the once impenetrable walls of the Galactic Council's strongholds. Earth's ships, guided by the memory of Mia's bravery, fought with a fierceness that even the Council's most advanced technology couldn't match. On the ground, the battle intensified even further. Human soldiers, now fully deployed on the battlefield, fought side by side with the robots, taking the fight directly to the Council's forces. In close-quarters combat, Earth's soldiers used their agility and determination to overpower the alien robots, who were much larger and stronger but lacked the heart and courage of the humans fighting to protect their planet. Bonner, now leading his forces with an unwavering resolve, knew that the next step was crucial. They had pushed the Council back, but the war was far from over. The flagship of the Galactic Council, the Xanathar, remained intact, and it was still capable of dealing devastating blows. Bonner knew that in order to truly win this war, they had to take down the Xanathar. As Earth's forces fought back with all their might, Bonner received word that the time had come. The final assault was about to begin. The Xanathar, the heart of the Galactic Council's fleet, loomed in the distance, its imposing structure dominating the battlefield. It was heavily fortified, its shields nearly impervious to any attack. But humanity had something the Council didn't: heart. Bonner's warship, the Courage, moved into position with a steady, unflinching purpose. The final attack was set in motion, and Earth's ships, cloaked and ready, lined up for one last devastating strike. The tension was palpable, the future of humanity resting on this one final confrontation. The Courage led the charge, its engines roaring as it moved toward the Xanathar. The human fleet launched their final assault, firing everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, and robots flooded the space between them and the enemy flagship. The Xanathar retaliated with everything in its arsenal, but it was no match for the determination and sacrifice of humanity. In a blaze of light, the Xanathar finally succumbed to the relentless assault, its once strong hull cracking under the weight of humanity's fury. The flagship exploded in a shower of fire and metal, its destruction sending a shockwave through the battlefield. With the fall of the Xanathar, the Galactic Council's forces began to retreat. The battle was won, but at a tremendous cost. Humanity had faced the impossible and triumphed, but the price was heavy. The loss of Mia was felt deeply, and her sacrifice would never be forgotten. In the end, humanity had proven something that no one, not even the mighty Galactic Council, could ignore. They were not just a joke. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they would fight to protect their home, no matter what the cost. The battle that had raged across the cosmos was finally drawing to a close. The once powerful Galactic Council, whose fleet had seemed invincible, was now on the brink of collapse. Their flagship, the Xanathar, had been destroyed in a blaze of glory, marking the fall of their mighty empire. The shockwaves of that defeat echoed through the remaining Council forces, who had never imagined that humanity, a species they had once dismissed as insignificant, could stand against them. But Earth had proven them wrong. The Council's once unshakable power was now shattered, and they had no choice but to surrender. In the aftermath of the battle, as the stars around Earth glittered like silent witnesses to the violence that had unfolded, the Galactic Council's supreme leader broadcasted a message to the galaxy. His voice, usually full of arrogance and contempt, now carried a tone of defeat. "This is the end of the Galactic Council's reign," he said, his words heavy with resignation. "Humanity has proven itself stronger than we ever anticipated. Earth is no longer the forgotten backwater of the galaxy. It has risen as a force to be reckoned with. We surrender. The future is no longer ours. It is theirs." Across the galaxy, the message was broadcasted on every channel, reaching every corner of the universe. For years, the Council had ruled with an iron fist, using their advanced technology and AI-driven warships to crush any who dared to resist. But now, they were the ones on their knees, acknowledging the rise of a new power in the galaxy: humanity. The victory was sweet, but it came at a tremendous cost. Captain Aidan Bonner, the man who had led humanity's forces through this impossible war, stood in the silence of the battlefield, gazing out at the wreckage of the once mighty Council fleet. The stars above seemed to reflect the devastation that had unfolded. The human fleet, victorious but battered, hovered in the void, ready to return home. But there was no true celebration. There could be no joy when the memory of so many sacrifices still weighed heavily on the hearts of those who had fought. The loss of Lieutenant Mia Walker, his best friend and the soul of the fleet, was still fresh in his mind. Bonner took a deep breath, the coldness of space around him offering no comfort. He stood alone on the deck of his flagship, the Courage, a quiet monument to the strength of humanity. The soft hum of the ship's engines was the only sound that filled the silence as his thoughts drifted back to Mia. Her sacrifice, her final act of heroism, had saved them all. It had given humanity the chance to prove its worth, to show that it was more than just a fragile, defenseless species. But the price of that victory had been steep, and no one would ever forget the courage it had taken to win this war. As Bonner stood there, staring out at the stars, his mind filled with the faces of those who had fallen. Maya, the soldiers who had given their lives, the innocent civilians who had been caught in the crossfire. He made a vow. He would not let their sacrifice be in vain. He would do everything in his power to protect humanity's future, to ensure that Earth would never again be seen as weak or insignificant. The message from the supreme leader of the Galactic Council had made one thing clear: humanity was no longer a joke, no longer a race to be laughed at or ignored. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The future of the galaxy had shifted, and humanity would play a central role in shaping it. As the Earth fleet began to disperse, leaving the wreckage of the battle behind, Bonner's thoughts turned to the future. The war was over, but the work was just beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there would be many who would still view humanity as a threat, many who would seek to challenge them. But Earth had proven that it was capable of surviving, of thriving, and of protecting its people. Bonner knew that the human race was no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of the galaxy. With the Council defeated, humanity now had the opportunity to shape its own destiny. The once weak, isolated planet was now poised to become a galactic power. It was a new era for Earth, one where they could build alliances, establish peace, and ensure that no one would ever again underestimate them. As the fleet dispersed across the galaxy, Bonner stood before his crew, his eyes filled with the weight of everything they had achieved. The sacrifices, the losses, the countless hours spent fighting for a better future, it had all led to this moment. He could feel the presence of Mia beside him, her memory pushing him forward. She had believed in this future, and now it was his responsibility to ensure it came to pass. The time for war was over. The time for peace had come. In a message broadcast across the galaxy, Bonner addressed the people of Earth and the rest of the universe. His voice, steady and strong, carried a message that would resonate for generations to come. "We are no longer the joke," Bonner said, his words carrying the weight of everything they had fought for. "We are no longer the forgotten, weak species that others thought they could crush. We are the future of the galaxy. We are humanity, and we will not be silenced. We will stand tall, shoulder to shoulder with those who wish for peace, and we will defend our home and our people with everything we have." The message echoed through the stars, reaching every corner of the galaxy, a declaration of Earth's newfound power and resolve. As the Earth fleet continued its journey, spreading across the galaxy, Bonner knew that they had not only won a battle, they had won the right to exist on their own terms. No longer would humanity be the underdog, the forgotten race at the edge of the universe. They had risen from the ashes of war, and they would forge their own future. For Captain Aidan Bonner, the battle was over. But the real work, the work of ensuring that humanity's place in the galaxy was secure, was just beginning. And as long as he drew breath, he would never stop fighting for that future, for the memory of those who had fallen, and for the people of Earth who had shown the universe that they were not to be underestimated. The galaxy would now have to reckon with the power of humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again.